welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne and this is my channel, I guess. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I think that's what it's called. It has a long name and it confuses me. Now, this year has been a rough reading year for me. Probably one of the worst I've had yet, because it's already July and I've only read like 30 something books. But out of the 34 that I've read, I guess that's where my answers will come from. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. The first question is the best book you've read so far in 2020. Oh, that's a tricky one. I'm gonna have to say there's like 3 books that are pretty high up on my list and I really liked all 3 of them very much, and it's very difficult for me right now to pick a favorite. The first one was Gumiho by Cat Show. I think just shift a little, maybe put up here, wherever. It is about a girl who is a Gumiho, meaning she's a nine-tailed fox. It's based on Korean mythology. What that one is about is a young adult fantasy with a lot of romance and very K-drama-esque. The second one that I really enjoyed, I'll also put the picture. Actually, you know what? Bitch! I don't need to put up a picture because it's right here. So this is Gumiho. The next one that I also really loved was Red at the Bone by Jacqueline Wilson. I have also talked about this. It is an adult book and it follows a story of this girl whose mother gave birth to her when she was 16. I don't want to say more than that. I've already spoken about it in another video. It's a very interesting book. It looks a lot of like classism, racism and stereotypes. It's very short and just a teeny tiny, very much emotional. And the last one that I really liked, and I'm probably going to put the picture up here somewhere, is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shannon Maguire, and this is the second book in the Wayward Children series. I didn't like the first book that much, but the second one, wow. So, the Wayward series is about these children, or young adults, whatever, they're teenagers. They go to a special school after coming back from a magical world. Think Alice in Wonderland. These children go through these magical doors that appear and they kind of live in this other world, and at some point they're tossed back into our world, this real world, I don't know, this boring world. They're tossed back into our world, the world they were born in, and some of them can go back to their own worlds, but a lot of them don't end up going back and they end up at this school. But I really like the second story where we follow Jack and Jill, are these twin sisters that we actually get to meet in the first book. The first book kind of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger where their story is concerned, because each book follows a different character, but we kind of meet the characters in the other books, so you don't have to read these books in order, but there are some that you can't read before the others. Like you can't read the second one without reading the first one. But like I think you can read the third one if I'm remembering correctly. I read them in chronological order and I will continue reading them that way. But yes, the second book, so freaking good. I think it was definitely like the best book in the series thus far. Question number 2 is best sequel you've read so far in 2020. Oh wow. So the best sequel I read in 2020, I can't say Down Among the Sticks and Bones because I just said that, so I'm gonna go with Come Tumbling Down, and that is the 5th book in the Wayward Children series. So like I just said, one of my favorite reads of the year is Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and it follows Jack and Jill. So when the second book leaves off, the 5th book picks up. So you can't read the 5th book before reading the second book, but you can read like book 3 and 4. But book 5 picks up just after book 2. Is that confusing? I'm sorry if it is, but I'll put like a little picture of all of them at the bottom of the screen so you can see the order. So the last one, which is the 5th one, also follows Jack and Jill, and it kind of brings us to the conclusion of their story. And yeah, I'm not going to say much because a lot of spoilery things happen, but that is probably the best sequel I read in 2020. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. There's a lot. I haven't read the new Hunger Games book yet. A release that I really want to get my hands on now is Be Not Far From Me by Mindy McGuinness. It's about, from what I've read, it's like Wild by Cheryl Strayed, which is one of my favorite books of all time. But this is a young adult book about this girl who catches her boyfriend cheating on her, and then she's like excuse you, and they're like camping somewhere in the woods, and then she like runs away in her like little upsetness scene. She falls down a ravine, I believe, and injures herself, and then she's like, oh shit, I'm alone, what am I gonna do? I need to get out of here. So I really want to read that one. Question number 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and that one is gonna be 30 Names of the Night. It was supposed to come out in May, because I read his first book, Map of Salt and Stars. Really loved it. It was very emotional. The writing was just beautiful. So I was like, oh, let me get the second book, and I'm really looking forward to it, but it was pushed to November. The plot is very confusing on Goodreads, but that makes me more excited to read it, because you know, it's nice if you don't know what a book is about. So I can't tell you what that one is about. I mean, I also talked about it in my most anticipated reads for the year video, but I'm very excited to read that book. I cannot wait. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment. I think for this one there are definitely 2 books I need to talk about. The first one is With the Fire and High by Elizabeth Acevedo. So I also listened to this on audiobook, because Elizabeth Acevedo is a slam poet, so it's just really like she knows what she's doing, and she writes her books in verse. Well, she wrote The Poet X in verse. She also wrote Clap When You Land in verse. With the Fire and High is not written in verse, but I just didn't like it. It's about this young girl. She's, I believe, like around 18, 17 years old, and she is a teenage mother. So she is trying to really make it in high school, you know, keep up with the studies while also being a mother. And she is a chef. She really likes cooking. It is her passion. It's what she wants to do for the rest of her life. She's really surprisingly talented at it. But that is what the book is about. Yeah, I was very disappointed in it. I didn't really like the writing style, the writing, the way she every now and then lets out a breath. She didn't know she was holding the kind of, I don't know how to say this. I don't want to say slut shaming, but slut shaming. And our main character really doesn't like this one girl because she wears makeup, and you don't really see what's so bad about this girl, at least from what I can remember. All we know is that she's beautiful and wears a lot of makeup, so that somehow makes her a really bad character. And just the entire book was just, no, I didn't like it. I was very disappointed by it. Another book that I didn't like, but I don't want to talk about this one, not now anyways. I have thoughts. Favorite new author. This is gonna sound so weird when I say favorite new author, because everyone else is like, bitch, we've been reading her. But Leigh Bardugo, I've never read a Leigh Bardugo book until this year, and I read Ninth House, and I was like, oh my god, Ninth House, excuse me, you bitch, where have you been? It's really good, and it has definitely encouraged me to read all of her other books. I have always been interested in the Six of Crow duology. I own them, but I haven't read them yet, because I kind of want to read the trilogy, the Grisha trilogy before that. So I have them down, want to read them soon. But yes, so Leigh Bardugo, I feel like I want to read everything she's written, because Ninth House was really good, and I know it's her latest release, I think it is, but it was still very good. Ninth House is about this girl, Alex. She's comes from a very rough life, and then all of a sudden she's sent to Yale, where there are kind of cults. They do magic and shit, and they like cut open people, and they like, let's take out your intestines and we're gonna predict the future. So Alex has to like supervise it, because, you know, I can't remember for which house she is and which house she lives, whatever the word is. But oh, I think she's in the Ninth House. Was that it? Was that what's, I can't remember. But she's making sure there is no nonsense happening, and these people are being safe when they take out other people's organs to predict the future. Question next. Biggest surprise. Biggest surprise. The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois. I kind of read it because I saw that the audiobook was available on this LibriVox. LibriVox provides you with free audiobooks. So I saw it was there, and I was like, okay, this looks interesting. Let me read it. And it's a very good book. It's non-fiction. I think there's one chapter that is fiction. So I think it's a very good place to start if you want to know more about the civil rights movement in the US. It also talks a lot about race relations, and you know, how these race relations have affected black people now, like how race relations previously have affected black people living in the US now, and how it was also affected by, or how it has affected the economy as well. The book in general, it talks about how different races experience the world differently. The book consists of several short stories, essay, and a lot of essays. I'd say mostly it was essays. While the book is US specific, it can be applied to different countries, especially countries where there was apartheid, i.e. Namibia and South Africa. So that's why I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was very educational. It really discusses these ideas. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not eloquent enough to tell you why I like this book. I just thought it was a very interesting read and very insightful. The book covers different topics like education, church, music. Okay, question number 8 is newest fictional crush. If anyone is my new fictional crush, probably Darlington. Because his name is Darlington. Like, excuse me, Daniel Arlington, i.e. Darlington. Okay, yeah, okay, no, I think it's Darlington. He just sounds like such a beefcake. And just, he's so nice. And he's so smart. And he speaks so many languages. Girl, it's Darlington. It's Darlington. But also Alex, because Alex Stern is like fire. I don't know. I love her. I guess I just love everyone in Ninth House. No, it's just Alex and Darlington. And Pamela. What was Pamela's name? Dawes. Was her name Pamela? Yeah, Darlington called her Pammy. Dawes. Those three. All three of them. All three of them are my fictional crush. They're just my one fictional crush. Those three. Question number 9 is newest favorite character. Okay. I really should have read these questions beforehand because now I'm just going to repeat myself because my newest favorite character is Alex Stern. Alex Stern, whose real name is Galaxy, but I don't like that, so I will just say Alex Stern. What kind of name is Galaxy? Anyway, she is from Ninth House, Barley Bardugo. Ninth House is about the secret societies at Yale, and Alex kind of gets recruited for one of these societies. I really like Alex because she's been through a lot and she's a tough girl. She's so witty and super funny and just so smart, and I'm getting like Will Herondale vibes, but I'm also getting like Drew Duarte vibes. So I really love Alex Stern. She's a sweetheart. She is my new favorite character, I think. I'm pretty sure she is. I don't think there was like one instance in this entire book where I was like, ooh, Alex, honey, what is you doing? What is you doing? So that just makes me like her. Next question. A book that made you cry. So while Gumiho by Kat Cho made me happy cry, tears of joy, I cry when I'm happy. One that made me cry like tears of sadness was this one, Where the Crawdad Sings by Delia Owens. I've already talked about this one as well. I feel like I just keep recycling the same books. How do you guys talk about so many different books? So Where the Crawdad Sings is about this girl, Kaya, and she kind of gets abandoned by family and she lives alone in a swamp, and eventually she gets accused of murdering someone when she gets older. There's a lot more to the story than what I'm saying now, but you don't want to know too much. So that's one that definitely had me not ugly crying. I don't know, I feel like this year I've just been on a, I haven't cried that much with books, which is not normal because I'm a crier. I cry a lot. It didn't make me like ugly cry. Again, very weird, but it was very sad. As historical fiction just generally is, why? Anyway, next question. Ooh, a book that made you happy. Okay, it's called Harry Potter and the Chamber of Serpents by M.J. Wad. So this is a parody of The Chamber of Secrets by She Who Shall Not Be Named, and I really enjoyed it. I think I read it in March, but it was really funny and really well done. I didn't expect that because I've read another Harry Potter parody. It's called Barry Trotter, and it was awful. It was really awful. But The Chamber of Serpents, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Serpents, I really loved it. It kind of takes a look at another student, this other student who comes into Hogwarts, but he's like, he never knew magic existed. And in the school, he's kind of like, oh, you mean like fake magic? Like, he thinks it's all trickery. It's very clever. And, you know, it kind of focuses on the student. He does eventually realize magic is real, but he's kind of the unsung hero of the Chamber of Secrets, because all the events remain the same. It's just, now we have this extra guy. I cannot remember his name. What is Austin? His name's Austin, and he's American. So his name's Austin Winters, and his dad got transferred to London, and that's when he gets this letter where he's like, oh, a magic school? I want to become a magician. So he goes to Hogwarts, and he also makes some really funny observations that people are always like, it's the general observations that people make about Harry Potter and the flaws that are in the book. So he'll make a lot of comments about Slytherin, but I think they're called Slipperin in the book, in the parody. Slipperin? Anyway, he makes these comments about how the rest of the school treats them, and he's like, it's so confusing. He also talks about, like, damn, this school is really dangerous. Like, they need to sort this out. And when he meets Lockhart, is Lockhart's name Lockhart even? Like, Austin immediately sees this guy's a fraud. He's like, can no one see this? It's very interesting to read, I promise you. There are some like little tidbits and golden nuggets that you won't get if you haven't read the Harry Potter series, because there is one point where Austin, he doesn't have a textbook, so he just uses one out of the potion closet, cupboard, whatever, and he uses this potion or this textbook owned by the Half-Blood Prince. So the story kind of explores what the rest of the school also thinks of the Golden Trio, which I think it's very interesting. The story looks at life at Hogwarts just being a regular student and not part of the bougie bunch, you know what I mean? The next question is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. So this is one that I bought but didn't read yet, and I'm actually looking forward to it. It's actually very beautiful. I think it's beautiful, and this is Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. Simone, her name's Simone, or Simone, I think it's Simone, and she's just living a life in high school, but then someone starts blackmailing her. She is HIV positive. She's just trying to live her life while being HIV positive, but then I think someone tries to blackmail her, or the last time she told someone that she was HIV positive, they used it against her. That's all I know about the story, and I'm excited to read it, and I think the cover is stunning cover. Next question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, books, I don't know. There's so many books I want to read by the end of the year, but the only one I'm going to prioritize is this little thin one right here. So this is The Survival of Molly Southburn by Tay Thompson, and this is actually the second book in the series. I don't know what the series is called, maybe just Molly Southburn. Okay, so the first one was Murders of Molly Southburn, and it's, as you can see, she's very short. It's like 120 pages. So I do think I'll be able to finish this before the year ends. So this is the second book in the series. I think it will only be a duology. There doesn't seem to be a third book. So I do think this one is where it's at. Okay. The premise of this is so incredibly wild that it shouldn't work, but it does. So this girl, Molly Southburn, every time she bleeds, a clone is born. Her own clone, okay? A clone of her. And this clone will try and kill her. It's so weird. It's just so freaking weird, but amazing. And I really, really love the first book. The last question is favorite book community member. I don't know. I feel so awkward doing this question.
So yeah, we're just gonna skip it.
Anyway, thank you so much for watching this. I love you. Have a good day and make good choices. Bye. If you made it this far in the video, just for funsies, I'm gonna tell you my pet turtle's name. Her name is Jacinta.